Hello there, warship enjoyers of the internet. Since lately there seems to be, in the light of the waterline posts by both Wargaming and Lesta, a heightened interest in the Russian version of this game that we all are addicted to, and a lot of like big streamers have tried it out in the recent days, and a lot of players seem to have followed too. I thought I would maybe do the same. I did, as you can see. I haven't played that much. I'm at tier 7 at the moment, but I'm also kind of interested in what is actually different on these two, at this point, very different versions of essentially the same game. So what I had already followed it loosely over the years, but yeah. So what I thought I would maybe do is look over most of the changes, look over the dev blogs, the balanced dev blogs, and all that, and just give you a little bit of a rundown for all the things that are different between World of Warships and Mir Korabley, or Wargaming and Lesta clients. I'm not gonna go over all of the small little details and balance changes of each ship, because that would take literal hours, but I'm gonna go over the things that I personally think are the most impactful on the game. Obviously, as you probably know, Lesta has done some graphical updates. You can maybe see it in this port. A lot of maps also have a updated skybox and HD textures, which comes along with a little bit of a rework of the map itself, or like the terrain on the map, which does make somewhat of a gameplay impact, but it's like you can see that for yourself in other guys' streams or videos. So yeah, but I'm just gonna rattle down a little bit of a list of all the things that are different between Lesta and Wargaming. All right, so here we go. First of all, they have reworked the port UI. It doesn't look that much different, but it works a lot smoother. That is a big difference, obviously, to what we get on Wargaming. They have also reworked or added a few things to the in-game battle UI, which is the most important part from my perspective, is that you can see whether or not your teammates are spotted, which you can only get as a mod on Wargaming, on Wargaming's client. And they changed the torpedo markers colors. They changed them according to how the names are displayed for you in the team overview. So your name is displayed as white, obviously. Your normal teammates are green, and your div mates are yellow. And they changed the torpedo icons to the same colors, basically. So your torpedoes are now white, and your teammates' torpedoes are now green, which is flipped on the Wargaming client, and always has before. Alright, so next up are a few general changes that are affecting the ships themselves and the gameplay. I'm just gonna go through them really quickly here. First of all, ship modules, secondaries, and AA mounts cannot be destroyed permanently anymore. They can be repaired by DCPs. However, you can't use DCP exclusively to repair AA mounts and secondaries. But if you have like a fire and then you use DCP, the AA mounts will restore instantly. Otherwise, they will restore over time. Also, modules and as well as AA mounts and secondaries now have fixed HP. Obviously, I don't know if everybody knows this, but on Wargaming's client and before when World of Warships was still made by Lesta, the modules had somewhat randomized HP. This is now a fixed value on Lesta. Then we come to the smoke firing penalty. Lesta has unified that to by class, basically. So all destroyers now have 3 kilometers smoke firing penalty. All cruisers of a gun caliber below 203 millimeters have 6 kilometers smoke firing penalty. Yes, that also includes stuff like Nevsky. All cruisers of 203 millimeter main gun caliber and above have 9 kilometer smoke firing penalty. All battleships have 12 kilometer smoke firing penalty, which is kind of spicy. And all submarines have 2 kilometer smoke firing penalty. Then when we come to CVs, I can actually go into it here. They have changed the damage con and the behavior of fires on CVs. They burn basically the same as battleships, which means 60-second duration fires. The DCP is still automated, but it is a standard battleship DCP, so you will have 15 seconds action time and then it has 80 seconds cooldown. So you can actually burn down CVs here. Alright, so next we look into the modifications or upgrades, whatever you want to call them. They have done a few changes to them. First of all, in the third slot on Wargaming we have the secondary battery modification 1 and anti-aircraft armaments modification 1. They have kind of combined the two to give you plus 26% secondary firing range, maximum secondary battery shell dispersion minus 20%, and plus 50 on your long-range continuous AA value as a flat value. Obviously on Wargaming you get, for the AA mod, you get minus 20% AA sector preparation time on the sector reinforcement. On slot 4 you have a slightly changed mod here, which is in this case called Bomb Stabilizer. On Wargaming this is called Airstrike Mod 1, and this one gives minus 20% airstrike preparation time, plus 25% airstrike aircraft hit points, plus 25% depth charge damage, and plus 2 depth charge packs. The depth charges are for ships that have ship dropped ASW charges, like Howden Lu, for example, or all destroyers. The Wargaming version of this has less of a bonus on the depth charge damage and doesn't give you additional depth charges. Then in slot 5, they have slightly buffed the torpedo lookout mod 1. It's got 0.3 kilometers more assured acquisition of torpedoes. And it also gives minus 10% damage from torpedoes, mines, and depth charges. Also, you get mine detection of 1 kilometer here. Obviously, that's not a thing on Wargaming because there are no mines on that server yet. Then they also have slightly buffed the ship consumables modification. They give you an additional minus 5% preparation time on the consumables. Wargaming's version only gives the plus 10% consumable action time. And then last but not least, they have changed the auxiliary armaments modification 2 in the 6th slot, which gives you minus 20% secondary battery reload. That is the same. But then they start diverting. Wargaming gives you plus 15% continuous AA damage. This one gives you plus 75 as a flat value on your long range AA. continuous damage. Wargaming's version gives you plus 15% flak damage. This one gives you 300 as a flat value on your flak damage, and Wargaming's version gives you plus 2 flak when defensive fire of the anti-aircraft guns is active. So when the consumable is active, this one gives you always 2 more flak explosions. Alright, now we're gonna talk about the signal flags. What Lesta has done here is they have kind of combined a few of the flags and unified the concept of them with the economic bonuses. So you get these 6 bonuses here, which are available in gray, green, blue, and red, like the economic bonuses. So the first one gives you fire extinguishing time, flooding recovery time, ship HP, so tanking basically. This one is essentially damage dealing with your main guns. It gives you a little bit main gun dispersion, squadron dispersion, little bit chance of causing fire, a little bit chance of causing flooding. Then this one is basically all the other armaments. So you get torpedo speed, aerial torpedo speed, secondary battery reload time, maximum secondary battery shell dispersion, and continuous AA damage. This one is just the speed flag. This one is consumable action time, consumable reload time, as well as the same for aircraft squadrons. And this one here is dispersion of shells fired by enemies attacking your ship. So they are bringing that back, which we had before the camo rework. As you may remember, camos used to give a slight bonus or a slight nerf to dispersion of shells fired at you. And it gives you a little bit damage, a nerf on damage received from AA bursts and depth charges. As far as I can see, the bonuses are always the difference between the gray bonus and the red bonus is always a factor of 1.6. So it does kind of make a lot of a difference to mount the gray ones, but it is not that big of a difference from gray to one of the others. Even from gray to red is not that big of a difference, but it kind of does pay out to use the gray bonuses. Alright, so quickly talking a little bit about the ship balance itself. As I said, I won't be able to go over everything that happened here, but just as a few examples, Lesta has done some different stuff to some ships. Just as an example, they have, for example, reverted the nerf that Kremlin got ages ago for the AA guns survivability. They have also, for example, not buffed Colombo quite as much. It only received the turret angles, the rear turret angles, but it didn't receive a buff to Sigma, and it also doesn't have a leg mod here. Zao also got buffed turret angles, but it didn't get buffed torpedo angles. It did, however, get a slight buff to turret rotation. Mecklenburg and Preußen got a pretty massive buff to their AA. Bungo, Adatara, and Yumihari got about 5% of the penetration of their AP shells. Austin got a pretty massive buff to the reload booster consumable, which used to be 125 seconds reload time. Now it is 90 seconds reload time. St. Vincent also didn't get buffed didn't get nerfed on this server. It didn't receive a nerf to the heal recharge time, so it's still 80 seconds. So yeah, there's a few things that are different, which are which kind of change things. but especially what changes stuff obviously is the new tech tree lines that have been released. Those are completely different to and completely disconnected from everything that Wargaming did. Also, as a side note, when Lesta and Wargaming split up, obviously there were tons of ships in testing, and those will all exist on Lesta pretty much, as far as I know, but they might be different because the testing process was still going on, and Lesta might have taken different choices with the balancing. And as far as I know, they did on quite a few things. For example, if I remember correctly, defense does not have a smoke on this server, but it does have improved acceleration and a slightly better heal. Just as an example. But yeah, keep that in mind. Ships that might have released around that time of the split or a little bit later, they will be existent here but different. Also, one thing I have noted or noticed is that the submarine U4501, the German submarine, the German premium submarine, is available for research points here, not for coal, which is somewhat of a difference. So I'm pretty sure there's gonna be more ships that have been released here too, and just are for a different resource or have been acquired differently. But just maybe keep that in mind. All right, and then last but not least, a pretty big one is the captain skills. Here, I would actually say Wargaming has done a little bit more than Lesta. Lesta has touched the captain skills a little bit less. There has been a pretty big rework of some of the skills, which Lesta hasn't done. They have touched a few, but yeah, as I said, not quite as much as Wargaming has. Submarines is quite easy to say. They haven't touched anything. Those are the same as on Wargaming's client. On destroyers, or as you know, some skills are pretty much universal. They just switch places on the different classes. So we have preventative maintenance that got an additional plus 15 survivability on AA and secondaries on Wargaming server. It doesn't have that here. Also, consumable specialist on Wargaming's client buffs all consumable duration by plus 7.5%. This is still the old skill, which is limited to some specific consumables. Then we have Dazzle, which on Wargaming gives plus 8% speed on top. It only gives the nerfed dispersion here. Then we go to the cruisers. We have focus fire training. This one gives, on Wargaming's client, gives you plus 1.5% priority sector initial damage. Sector reinforcement plus 25%, like it does here. Airstrike reload minus 15%. So it's a buffed value, plus 1 flag, like it does here, and plus 10% aircraft prep time. Then we go to this one here. On Wargaming's client, this got changed to pack a punch and does include extra range for your secondaries. Lesta has gone a little bit of a different route and put it on this skill here, which is heavy HE and sap shells. So this one obviously lacks the secondary battery firing range on Wargaming's client in return. Then we have Outnumbered, which gives you an additional secondary battery shell dispersion on Lesta server. It doesn't do that on Wargaming. Then finally we have this one here. It is called Master of Firearms Training on Lesta server, or at least with this translation mod it is. It's called AA Defense and ASW Expert on Wargaming's client. That one on Wargaming's client just gives you the depth charge damage, 15% continuous AA damage, flak damage, and it gives you 50% sorry, consumable reload when AA guns are active. On this server, it gives you only minus 20% consumable reload when AA guns are active, but it also gives you plus 15% secondary battery damage. Then we go to battleships, and we have the super heavy AP shells. On Wargaming, this was changed and gives you an additional minus 10% damage on fires and floodings. Doesn't do that on Lesta. Then we have improved repair party readiness, IRPR. This one gives you on Wargaming an additional heal when you reach 2 million potential damage. Doesn't do that here. And we have Furious, which on Wargaming gives you minus 10% reload. Here it gives you minus 5% reload and plus 5% dispersion fired by enemies. This used to be the case on Wargaming as well, but they changed it to 10% reload. And then we also have the Master of Firearms training here, which is basically the same as on cruisers. It just gives a little bit different values. Ship consumables reload while AA is active is minus 15%, and the buff to secondary damage is 10% only. And yeah, the other values are also a little bit different. And then, last but not least, we go to aircraft carriers. A few skills are different here, which is, first of all, this one, Patrol Group Leader, gives an additional 5% patrol radius. Doesn't do that on Wargaming's client. The Interceptor is does on Wargaming's client, it does not attack other fighters. Here it does. We have Hidden Menace. On Wargaming's client, this gives minus 15% conceal, minus 20% DCP cooldown, minus 50% time to reach safe altitude, and minus 50% return speed, which apparently is also bugged on Wargaming's client. So in effect, you eat like your planes die a lot more when you retreat them. I don't play carriers enough to know much more about it. Maybe some carrier players can tell me if that's still the case or not. Here on Lesta, it gives also the minus 15% ship detectability and also the minus 20% DCP cooldown time. But it just gives time of repair, fire extinguishing, and recovery from flooding. So basically just like fire and flooding duration on Lesta's client, which is obviously important because carriers, as I said, burn like a battleship here. They actually do burn. So it's become more of a tanking skill for the carrier hull itself instead of affecting the planes. And then last but not least, we go for the enhanced reactions. This one on Wargaming's client gives plus 25% fighter action time, minus 80% time before attack, and plus 50% arrival time. The problem with that one is basically the fighters take so long before they are actually able to lock on anything that they are very easily avoidable. Here on Lesta, that last value, that arrival time, is just gone. But they have nerfed the time before attack a little bit from 80%, minus 80% to minus 50%. So yeah, that's it basically. There are obviously more differences, small ones. There's small, all small guns, everything up to 150s basically. Has updated sounds, for example, and yes, there is a new map on this client already released, and as far as I know, there are 2 more in testing. And this year we're gonna get at least one new map for the game, as well as reworks of some of the old maps. And yeah, again, I could keep talking for hours and hours about the small little differences, but I think that's about it for the stuff that actually affects gameplay in a big way, which are like global differences. I don't know. Maybe this can kind of help people maybe decide if they want to try out the Lesta server as well, or it can actually just help people who have already decided to make an account here just to try it out, to see the differences, or it can just help as a reference for people who are interested in that kind of thing. Just as a side note, it's quite easy to make an account. You don't need a VPN or anything. I've seen that question quite a lot. You just make an account on the Lesta side and you download the game. The launcher looks basically the same as Wargaming's. If you want to have the game in English, you will have to install a mod, which is quite easy. You just unpack some folder into the game files, and then basically everything is in English. The only thing that is not is the armory, because it's I think web-based, so it just interacts with the armory on the website. So I guess you can just go on the website and use auto-translate on your browser to fix that issue. Otherwise, the game is completely translated that way. Also, there is, of course, if you do decide to make an account, be sure to use to get an invite code from someone. Ask me if you need one. And there is a code as well, which is called Superstart 2025, which gives a lot, for example, a tier 9 premium after you have played a little bit, like this one. And it gives a ton more. Also, if you I haven't quite finished the mission track for it. It gives you 5,000 doubloons, I think, and lots of resources and all that. So pretty great for a start, actually, for a fresh account. I hope this was at least interesting for some people. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you soon, probably, hopefully on stream, if I get around to actually stream again. And have a good one. Bye bye.